How you doing, man?
Doing okay. How about yourself?
I'm all right. It's good to meet you, man.
Me too.
Yeah, I had seen you had added me on Facebook, and Facebook is weird because I don't even get certain things. But then I added you, and I was like, oh, like, what's this dude up to? And then immediately whenever I saw you, I was like, oh man, I would love to like sit down and talk to this dude just to hear
And I
his story.
appreciate you
and
reaching
stuff.
out. Like, fun fact, like, I don't even know like half the people on my Facebook. Like, 5,000 friends, I only know about probably about 50 of them.
Yeah.
I do the best that I can to kind of reach out to people and say, hey, how you doing? My name is Shamarr. And, what do you do for a living? Reach out and see if there's any room for growth between us. But usually the wrong people filter themselves out, and the right people bring themselves forward, kind of like today.
Right on. I feel you, man. That's what's up. Cause I was just sitting there and I was like, I wonder how like you were friends with him on Facebook and Armand and
We just met today too.
so I was like, man, and then it was just like you kind of knew a lot of like not like minded but like driven people, like wanting to do something with themselves if they can't maximize themselves in some corporate way. They can make something out of themselves, literally.
Right, and I'm actually part of a business team right now. They're training me. I have mentors that are really doing some successful things in business, and right now they're kind of training me how to be the best version of myself, and how to train other people to be the best version of themselves as well. Like when I first got into business, I had read about 15 books in my first year. All of books that were recommended by my mentors because of all the billionaires in the country and also in the world that have read some of these books, and it instantly changed my perspective on a lot of things. Like I noticed, like I was able to read situations better. I was better at reading people, determining outcomes that got a little bit easier. Being at peace with my own self, and really reading. I look forward to reading more than I look forward to TV. So to date, I probably have I have close to 50 books read.
Right on.
I'm looking for a good place right now to apply some of the stuff that I've learned, and it's trial and error. A lot of this stuff is trial and error. Like I'm actually going through some pretty radical stuff right now. Some pretty gnarly things that are kind of putting my faith to the test. Am I going to allow this to put me back in that old mindset of everybody's just people are jerks and everybody's just out to see me fail? That type of mentality where you think that every single person that you come across is a hater.
No, that's a bad place to be.
There's a lot of things that your haters can teach you, though. Like when I catch a person hating on me or one of my friends or somebody on my team, when I first got into business, my first instinct would have been to combat them a little bit, confront them and maybe say some colorful words. But now I just look back and I laugh, and I try to look at where the person is coming from, because there's a reason. Maybe there's a reason that they're spreading so much hate towards me and my team. But then again, that might be their way of supporting, and that also might be their way of saying, hey, this is where you need to improve, and I kind of wish that you valued me a little bit more as a person. So when I tell you that these things need to be improved, you will listen a little bit more. That's kind of like one of the things that I learned from this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's by Dale Carnegie. It's a very good book. It was written some time ago, but it still applies to a lot of things that we go through today. He talks about for example, like I used to have that mentality that everybody I came around was a jerk. Everybody was just a hater. And I don't get it. People are just jerks. People are just rude. But that was because I hadn't read the book yet and understood that 9 times out of 10, people respond to you the way that you initially respond. Or people respond to you the way that you initially respond to them.
Yeah, especially when you come across so many people and they don't know you, and perception and the first time you meet somebody means everything most of the time. So if you coming off any sort of negative way, somebody's gonna be like, had their eyebrows up at you already, and then the more time you spend around them in that one meeting,
that's true.
It could go back and forth, but you never know. It's just that first impression is very important.
That's true, and even if the person is not really fully aware of what's going on, is subconscious minds. Like our subconscious minds are so powerful. Like
Mhm.
they're instantly like giving off cues about another person. So like if your subconscious mind doesn't like another person, you're gonna start finding reasons why you don't like this person. And then this could be like after you guys have interacted, dap each other up, and
Mhm.
maybe done what you do. Then you might be down the road. You might be thinking, I don't know if I want to hang out with that guy anymore.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because your brain is picking up on those subconscious cues.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I mean, like business, and that's really what I like about entrepreneurship. Like the right person, when they get into business, they will, their actions and their thoughts will determine that if there's somebody that really wants to identify needs for another person, or really if they're just somebody that wants to make a quick buck and just has an agenda. I'll admit, when I first got into business, even when I first started doing music, I had my own agenda. I just wanted everything done my way, in my favor, for me. And at the time, it didn't matter who I had to step on to get it. It took me actually losing some very good business partnerships and some really good relationships to kind of catch on to the fact that, hey, you can be, I can be ambitious without treating everybody else like they're down here,
Mhm.
without like trying to assert myself and be King Tut and be in control of every situation. That people like that, those are not team players. I had to condition myself to be a better team player. So not only will people stick around, but people know that I'm somebody that they can count on if they need to be.
I agree. Like, I don't even disagree with that, because this is. I think if a lot of people thought that way, things would be a lot more simple, I guess, and easy, and it wouldn't be such a. I don't know, but sometimes, but money and business and fame or just notoriety is something else. It's just like, it's one of those things that we don't factor into when we logically attack things at that. Because here's what I face with reality. I've always thought that way. Everything you said, I'm actually the opposite way. I like to come across people and be like a little too nice, and like he'll tell you like I touch people too much, like it's like patting them on the back, or just yeah, like if I'm laughing, like I like to like if we're close, or even if I just met you, like just depend on the vibe the vibe you giving, but it's just like it's never anything malicious. Yeah. Yeah. So I've understood, like with business and life in general, you gotta understand that it's people out there that don't think that way, or it's people that do think that way, but they just don't care, and they just like to do things on a whim or do things how they feel. It's just too many. It's too many things to take into account to just. It's a good like base level to build on, but you gotta like be able to maneuver with what's going on in your environment as well, or else
true. And one of the easiest ways to do that, David, is to put yourself in other people's shoes wherever you go.
Man,
like
facts.
Even I found that I got so good at this after a while. Like even people that had never said even two words to, like if I see somebody walking down the street, I can immediately read their body language, look at their expression on their face, and take into account like the way they're dressed and different like aesthetics about this person. And then I can easily tell like how they might respond to maybe me leaping out in front of them while they're just minding their own business, and be like, hey, I can kind of like pick up on like those kind of cues too. And also like just kind of like putting yourself in a position where you are just naturally good at seeing where other people are coming from makes you easier to deal with as a person too. Like you and I just met each other about what? Formally about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, if that maybe. If this,
yeah.
I don't even know. Let me check. I can give you official. Well,
about 15.
This been going for 9 minutes, so
9
about
minutes.
15,
Okay.
20 minutes ago. So.
And I'm pretty sure, like you and I are getting a pretty good idea of like where we are coming from as a person, and that's one of the things I like about entrepreneurship and also intellectual conversations. When you pick somebody's brain, and then you can pick somebody's brain without putting them on the defensive, and without you being on the defensive and taking everything that they say personally, like, or taking everything as an insult. Like it's just like right now I feel nothing but harmony.
Well, at this point in this day and age, I just appreciate good old conversation. I feel like that's just lost. It's just like, bro, it's texting and Facebook messaging and the quick stuff, and it's just like
I just had this really important thing happen in my life. All you have to do is press the like button on it, so I know that you saw it and I know that you validated. I don't need to. I don't need to hear
Right.
your actual opinion on the matter. I just need you to hit that like button so I know that you care.
Yeah.
Does that sound crazy?
I think it's just now, like, I think more than ever, I think we should realize those types of places are a tool, and that's what I've geared mine towards. Like, I've actually, except for certain family members and some friends, but mostly everybody else, like, is somebody that I could connect to in different ways about anything to promote them or me or anything, or just talk or just share like funny stuff, because I don't take Facebook and Instagram like serious like that, to where it's like whatever somebody posts even really matters in any way. Like, I haven't had a conversation with them, so they could just be posting something just to post it. Like, you don't know any content of what they're thinking for sharing or posting anything unless they make a whole paragraph, which nobody does really, which is what I'm getting at. So everything is so
kind of died out back in 2015. Having long paragraphs about like whatever's on your mind. Because at the end of the day, like nobody takes the time to listen to read it.
So, okay, you do a lot of stuff, and I wanna figure out all of that and ask you more questions. So,
definitely.
Let them know, like, what is it from A to Z? Like, what is it that you do? Because I know you in the music. I know you said you got the wellness, and there was something else, I believe. Was there something else?
Well, I do train people personally.
Okay.
Too.
Okay. Where at?
I train in my home. I train in people's living rooms. I also train at different gyms like Planet Fitness, and I've even trained at Catalyst. My own personal trainer himself trains me at Catalyst. So yeah. There's also what I do like outside of like mainly what I do is like I kind of like my business is it thrives based on relationships. So like somebody that sees that I have an online store, they can't just like randomly create an account and then start shopping. I'll get a notification if they did create an account on my site, but I would have to sit down. They would have to sit down with me first, and I'd have to get to know them so I can identify needs and get to know them as a person, as opposed to like in a perfect world I would just do like the Jeff Bezos thing and just be like, hey, I have a site, shop there if you want to, and people would shop there because I'm Jeff Bezos. But obviously that's not me. I could never right now I can't even imagine being in charge of a company like Amazon, but really like people.
I mean, you should though, man.
That's true, but right now it's the reality of the situation. Like Jeff Bezos, like his life is a little chaotic right now.
But you said imagine, though. But you gotta imagine the good and the bad sometimes.
Oh, true.
So it's with all the bad he got, it's a whole heck of a lot of good going on too. So that's what I'm saying. Imagine the good part and just deal with the bad when it comes, and be real.
He gets to travel whenever he wants to and be with his family whenever he wants to. So.
I mean, listen, I anybody that sat across from me that I've been like truly like blessed to interview, I think the world of everybody. I think it's a lot out there, and it's just as long as you continuing to put your head down and doing the work and just staying true, like you can do it, man. Like I don't think that you wouldn't be able to. It's not impossible at all.
That's true. And I realize, like, you have to put yourself in a position where you're open to meeting new people and you're open to networking. And if you need to, for the couple of moments that you insert yourself in somebody's life, whether it even be for 4 minutes, and you probably won't even talk to that person again, you want it to matter. So that way, if there's any room for you guys to rekindle your relationship in the future, it's no hard feelings. You guys can just dive head first. But as opposed to like, when you're trying to do business with somebody and, you're putting them on the defensive, it doesn't matter if they're looking for an opportunity like you wouldn't even imagine. They won't want to get into business with you or do anything with you because they don't like you, which is another thing that I had to kind of had to acknowledge too when I first got into business, because I was not I think every entrepreneur goes through that when they before they get into business. They reach a stage where they're just kind of like, they're not they want the results of a successful business. They don't want to put in the work just yet because they haven't learned it. But you have to learn the system. Whatever team you're part of, whatever job you're at, whatever business you're doing, or whatever the dynamics are, even in your friends group, you have to get to know the system, so that way you won't be blind when certain things happen. So like I found that like even dealing with prospects, like even when I'm if I shake somebody's hand and I ask them, hey, what do you do for a living? Are you open to are you open to hearing about any business opportunities, or are you in the market right now for new opportunities? And they either say yes or they say no. And if they say no, like that's perfectly fine. They're not a loser, they're not a quitter, they're not unmotivated or not ambitious, but that's perfectly fine. And I've learned that each no gets you closer to a yes. So appreciate the no's. Don't get discouraged. Whatever business that you're in, if it's taking you a long time to get customers, if it's taking you a long time to make a profit, just kind of be patient and use the no's and use the failures as stepping stones.
Yep. I was thinking the same thing. Whenever you started, I was like, yeah, the commitment. If once you you're gonna be staying committed, then you're looking to capitalize and make an opportunity out of even the small things. I used to tell my cousin that a while ago, like we would get even the biggest or smallest of things going, and I was telling like this is an opportunity, man. Like no matter what, like you never know how things actually start because you never get the true backstory until they put it in a movie or that person comes out with a book or unless they're ranting or raving about it the whole time to remind you.
That's true, and like you can't like and if you see somebody that you take inspiration from doing these things, like try to do it exactly the way that they did it and say it in the exact same context that they did. It's not going to work for you because they're doing what works for them.
Mm-hmm.
If you see if you see the way somebody that you admire on TV is applying like a certain way of thinking that you have been trying to work on, like it helps to take notes. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of foolish. We like to we like to laugh at the people that watch like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society with a notepad and stuff like that. But those are people who are there's a reason that they're doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I used to when I was a kid, I used to watch Lil Bow Wow and I used to watch Dr. Dre on TV. I used to watch clips from Dr. Dre in 1992. And even though my mom didn't want me listening to their music, but I used to watch old clips of Dr. Dre, Eminem, Ice Cube, Exhibit. And I used to take notes. And I still have a lot of those notes too, because I wasn't trying. I may have been trying to copy what they were doing as a kid, but it was their cadence that captivated me. Their confidence. The way they handle certain situations. And I'm not talking about in the movies either. I'm talking about like their actual everyday lives when they were being caught on camera, not reality TV either. I'm talking about when somebody was just following them around while they were just running errands or doing their everyday things. There's a reason that these people are successful, and there's a reason that these people are so respected in their fields and whatever they do. So I want to know what they know.
That will help whenever you get on the level of like you want to do it. Like the knowledge is definitely all the world, but I think it's just like they are. You gotta imagine like just how dedicated you are to saying, this is what I want to do, and I'm a master this craft, but I know I never will. You know what I'm saying? If you have that mindset, because it's just me, and like you just always gonna be hungry to want more. So everything you saying is anything I've ever heard. Whenever people make it, like they have all these small little stories and this all this makeup behind them, and all these little things that they didn't know that was just scattered everywhere. And then somehow, years later, they end up where we aspire to be now, So I feel like, people like you, putting in the work is the most important part. I feel like once you get that blueprint and that's what you want to do, then you got to start being realistic. But then also be realistic about your opportunities. Don't say everything is a waste of your time. If you put in yourself and, as long as you aiming towards something and you trying to stick to it and grow in some way, you going to get there. You just got to stay the course. That's what I've always heard anybody do. It's nothing that happens overnight. It's not many things. It's what you talking about ain't like baking a cake is what I'm saying. You can't just put some products together real quick, whip it up, and you there. I mean, you could real quick on Instagram if you do something just out of this world that we ain't seen before, and then you can blow up, and then you'll have the capital to do what you want to do.
But if you're taking the same approach that hundreds of other people have taken, then that's
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but realistically, on the other, like, like, just don't ever sell your show short. But you just, people should be realistic about that
This is true.
sort of thing.
And
So,
that also reminds me of another book that I that I completed this year. It's called The Compound Effect. It's by Darren Hardy. He talks about how even just small changes in your behavior and just your everyday routines and just like small choices can lead to big outcomes. So like in another book, Think and Grow Rich, and also The Magic of Thinking Big. The Magic of Thinking Big is by David J. Schwartz, and the Think and Grow Rich is by Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill is my favorite author because he's the dude is just a genius. When you listen to the way he when you listen to the way his words sound in your head, you realize you're taking notes from somebody that knows you, even though he hasn't even met you, and he's about 80 years ahead of your time. So like he talks about how even just like if you have a goal, the way to end up not running in place is to imagine yourself already achieving that goal. If you imagine, if you can even tell yourself, I don't think I can accomplish that, your brain is going to automatically start forming reasons as to why you can't do it. So even if you try to bring yourself to try it, if you bring yourself to try it and give it a test run, you're automatically going to fail because you've already programmed your mind and your subconscious mind to fail at that goal. And the same thing happens with positive thinking. If you can imagine yourself 5-10 years from now with $10 million in your bank account or $1 million in your bank account, your brain will start thinking of ways that you can attain that goal, and you'll find that every step that you take from that moment forward will get you closer to that goal, will allow you to move the needle in the right direction at every move.
I think a big thing is taking any success you have and creating more success out of it, instead of being upset that you made $100,000 or you got whatever, you got half of what your goal was. Well, use that half to propel yourself to get the full part.
Definitely.
Why are you looking at? Do you not know that you just came from nothing?
Definitely. And you're taking advice from people that are in the same boat. Like, if you get into a business, even if it's an MLM company like Mary Kay, or something that thousands of people have done before, there's no reason that you can't find a different approach to the business model. But if you start listening to your auntie who tried Mary Kay in 1999 but failed and lost all her money because she was a part of a bad team, then you start listening to her, you're gonna get discouraged. You're gonna lose all the inspiration that you had to build this big makeup platform because you decided to listen to your broke family members or your broke neighbor that said, hey, that Mary Kay thing was a little. I'm not a Mary Kay, by the way. I'm not a Mary Kay. I'm just using them as an example. That company was around, back in 1964. And, just be careful. Even just simple words like that can discourage somebody that has a goal. Sometimes when you're first introduced to entrepreneurship and you get an opportunity, your mindset, you're in the mindset where you don't want to hear anything negative about it. You want everything to go right. You want everything to go positively. You want to be at the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, thinking the right thoughts, and letting nothing but the right information go into your brain. And then you hear one naysayer, you hear one person one hater or one family member with a negative opinion about what you're trying to do, and the next thing you know, you've lost all hope. You can't even, it doesn't even feel the same way after hearing that opinion. It doesn't even feel the same way diving back into the material. You're looking at your pamphlets and you're taking notes. And you're like, oh well, what if my auntie was right, or what if my broke next door neighbor was right? What if this isn't gonna work?
But see, then I think that you okay. So I'm gonna tell you something that because I like you like books, I like documentaries and stuff like true like stuff. So, and I like to hear things from like the horse's mouth of people. So, I was watching a basketball documentary, and I think it was Charles Barkley or somebody that said, they don't want to hear. I'm pretty sure it was Charles Barkley. He doesn't like to hear like the what ifs and people that should have made it to the league and this and that, because if that were true, then they would be here. regardless, nothing, and that's true. Other than somebody, obviously, like somebody getting their life snatched away from 'em by a medical disease or like death, like war or some violence, something like that. But just something that was done to them, like that took them out of playing in the NBA.
Right.
That's their fault, because these people, no matter what they're telling is, have made it there. You know, I know quite a few people actually. I know a guy, Reggie Hearn. I know him and his family real well. His dad has been like a really big mentor to me, like since I was young.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
and I'd actually just had him on a couple months ago, but Reggie has made it to the NBA. So and he's been just staying the course. You don't, like I say, you don't worry about the success that you don't have. Just worry about getting success and maintaining it. As long as you get some sort of success, you got some.
Yeah,
Like,
you know
fix your
that.
definition. What
Yeah.
is your definition of success? Like, that's what my English teacher taught me. You gotta ask those what is and what questions, because if so, it'll get lost in
That's true,
translation.
and if you are able to be successful in some area of your field or of your job, or on social media, whatever, like if you're able to make a difference in people's and even just one person's life, if you're able to, so let's say you stop the person from committing suicide, you were able to coach somebody not to cut themselves or slit their wrists, or you encourage somebody from thinking negative thoughts about themselves. That means you made a difference. That means you inserted yourself into somebody's life, whether it be for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 minutes, and you made a difference. And that is a victory that nobody can take from you, and that is a victory that nobody can take from the person as well, because you guys were able to find common ground, and you were able to open things up for a person. I actually saw. I've been seeing a lot of people on my Facebook newsfeed sharing this. It's a GIF. It's a GIF of two people. I think it's two cartoon people sitting in a cafe, and then the girl is thinking like a positive thoughts. She takes the guy's hand. He's been thinking negative thoughts. As soon as she takes his hand and basically says, "Hey, I'm here for you," basically things just start to open up. Like his whole perception on the world changes. Like he's viewing people as monsters around him, and now like basically this just a simple act of touch. What we discussed earlier just brightened up his entire world. And I can remember just like being in a position where like nothing but negative thoughts are entering my mind about people, like especially on a day like if there's not a lot of sunlight, and we're already not getting a lot of vitamin D. It's easier to think negative thoughts, which reminds me, by the way, seasonal depression is coming up. Make sure you guys stock up on iron supplements, vitamin D supplements, vitamin C supplements, and vitamin E supplements. These are things, and keep the pleasure foods on deck. These are just different ways that you can combat seasonal depression, so you're not angry about everything from mid-October to early March. Because that's 5 months. That's a long time for. I've seen people be.
So how do you know if you have seasonal depression? I'm sorry to
How
cut
you
you
know?
off, but I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that question.
Yeah, that's a good subject. How you know you so if you have you might have seasonal depression if the first indicator is that not a lot of sunlight towards the end of the year to the beginning of the next year. That's 6 months right there, in early October through late March. That's almost 6 months of barely any sunlight, especially here in Indiana. So like if you have seasonal depression, your iron levels are probably low. You're probably not getting a lot of vitamin K, which is for bone matrix formation. You're definitely not getting a lot of vitamin D. Vitamin D is not a vitamin, by the way. It is actually a hormone, because when you take vitamin D, not only does your mood brighten up, but your circulation also gets better too. So like vitamin D is also crucial in muscle formation, skin color, brain health, because there's no way to get vitamin D. Vitamin D is so low in our food groups that we have to get it from the sun. So like if we're already not getting a lot of sun for the next 6 months, you're gonna have to keep like at least an iron or a vitamin D supplement on deck. That way your brain doesn't go too long without secreting the right chemicals.
I mean, I could buy a sunlight canine and just sit under like a lizard or something, right? I'm just kidding.
So you're talking about like a light.
I was just kidding. Yeah, man. Okay, so I didn't know that. I didn't
mean to get scientific or anything.
No, you good, man. Listen, you can talk about anything you want here within reason, I would say. YouTube is fish. Is suspicious. They do funny things. I guess I've been hearing. I don't know because I don't really talk about anything too crazy. So
I've heard some things about YouTube,
yeah,
but only time will tell.
yeah,
I
yeah,
want to see it firsthand before I make any.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So when did you start doing music like by yourself? Like when did you start doing that?
Well, I started recording when I was 5, and then I was writing my own songs by age 9. And by the time I was, before age 9, I was actually doing a lot of sampling for my older cousin, who at the time was a pretty well known local rapper in Cleveland, Ohio. Name is Limbone. You know, he's still got some amazing projects. He's still doing his thing. He's also an actor too. But from there, I started writing my own songs. By the time I was 17, I was ready to get back in the studio after years of toying around with my voice and not liking the way certain things sounded, and just making experiments in my room behind closed doors with just downloading apps, recording apps, and seeing how my voice sounded on them. But as far as really getting into songs that people actually wanted to listen to, that didn't happen until a couple years ago in 2017. So there was a long stretch of me just experimenting with different sounds and different styles, trying to see what people liked. And for those of you that didn't like my music from 4 or 5 years ago, I'm right there with you because I hate it too. And
so, I'm sorry. So I don't want to cut you off. So what did you do right after you graduate? When did you graduate high school?
2013.
So what did you do from 2013 to 2014? You were still just making music, and you were referring to that.
I was in college studying arts.
Okay.
And I was at the same time. That's when I really got in. That's when I started investing in my own studio at home. You know, my equipment was kind of it was jank. It was kind of it was Audacity was my music program, and I was using sound equipment from the garage at my my childhood home that my mom had put away in like the early 2000s and late 90s, and started kicking with those things. But definitely, I wouldn't recommend taking that approach to a lot of people. If you want to invest in a studio of your own, like really invest some serious money, because the quality of my tracks showed, the sound quality of my tracks showed how much money I was working with, and obviously that wasn't a lot. So
okay, because I haven't heard anything from them. I don't think.
Good.
No, I'm saying you didn't the stuff you sent me isn't any of that from them.
Oh no.
Okay, because the stuff I listened to, everything, I was like, this sound like really good. Like just the sound of it, like the Christian, the cleanness for one, and two, just like everything just sound like some big popular producer of music would make, So
well, I'll
it was just.
I'll go ahead and shout out Midnight Swami on that one. Midnight Swami is actually the person that he mixed and mastered at least 45% of the album. Before I met him, the other 65% was roughly finished by myself and somebody else that I had met. And Midnight Swami, he's an amazing sound engineer. He's got a bachelor's degree in recording.
Oh
arts.
wow!
Yeah, he's
Where's he?
Oh, he's here in Fort Wayne.
Oh, yeah, man, I might want to ask you to meet him.
Oh, definitely.
I love to meet him, man.
Definitely connect you guys.
I knew a buddy that was at before. Did they change Digitrax, or is it still
Digitrax?
Or did they change it, the name of it? Cause did they move it? Okay. I had a buddy that produced a lot of music. It was a sound engineer and everything for Digitrax, and had a bunch of people coming all over from Ohio and all over the place. He in New York now, but I just been looking for somebody like that to interview, because I just respect that field a lot. Like it's a lot to go into that, man.
That is a lot of learning too.
Uh-huh.
I myself still have a lot to learn when it comes to mixing and producing,
but it's fun though. It's fun, bro. Like even look like from the outside looking in. That's why I would go with him just to sit there and just like literally watch, because there'd be so much stuff going on, and he would explain it as he was going. I was like, oh, so this gets really good when you get all the equipment you need to like maximize it, or just get the most out of what you're doing. It just make the difference in the world of like what I've seen people, like what you would explain, like when you first started off years ago, and now like so.
You know, I can still remember this the first track that I recorded. It was called a Bulldog Shamarr. I was 5 years old, and I can still remember the way my voice sounded on the track. It was super high pitched, and the rhymes were super simplistic. But as far as the record itself, I have not heard it or seen the CD that it was printed on in years.
You gotta find it, man.
I do gotta find it.
You gotta find it and then make a song out of it.
Yeah.
At least, or just try to do something with, like, make a project out of it. Don't forget that.
That's true.
That you could do so unless it's just horrible and you think it's horrible. I haven't heard of it. I don't know what you think about it.
I mean, no, I wouldn't. I'd never say it's horrible.
Okay, so what you think? You think you still be able to use it and do something with it?
Could definitely. I mean, if I bring it to Swami, or if I apply some of the things that Swami has taught me to that track, I'm pretty sure I could get something going with it.
You can have that idea. I just want to hear it if you do something with it.
Definitely.
That would be dope. So,
I'll even send it to you if I find it.
Oh yeah. I'm whenever I put this up, I'm gonna put up a lot of music and stuff that you gave me. So, and I'm gonna be posting links to everything that you got. So,
that's love.
You got Instagram or anything like that? Okay, cool.
Oh yeah,
so
follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at Nutramar18.
Okay.
The name is not subject to change anytime soon because I really like that name. Nutramar, the suffix nutra for nutrition, mar for the last couple of letters in my name, and then /18 for 2018 being the year that I officially started my business and got my license to distribute different things.
That's what's up, man. So, how did you come across getting your license?
My business license. Okay, so check this out. Like I was working in a cafe. I was working in a cafe. I was pouring coffees and I was wiping down tables and I was running food to different tables. And this was during a time where I just kind of forced myself to be a little bit more friendly and to be a little bit more open. I kind of made a light commitment to myself. You know, shake every hand that you come across, smile at because I was going through a tough time. So like, you know, smile at everybody you come across. Just really make everybody that you come across feel good. And something will come your way. Some type of door will open up. And even after that door opens up, make sure you still keep that momentum going so that things can fall into place. And shortly after that, I came across my business partner. I probably won't say his name because I think he's kind of doing his own thing.
Good. Yeah, you good.
He basically approached me and he said, "Hey, Shamarr, he didn't know my name, of course." And he goes, "Hey, what's your name?" I told him Shamarr. He told me his name. He goes, "Hey, I admire your people skills, and I just kind of like the way you were, you know, I kind of like how you were dealing with the customers. I kind of admire your service. Are you open? Are you in the market? Are you looking for any new opportunities as far as like entrepreneurship?" Nowadays we don't take that approach but I guess there's something that he saw in me that just kind of interested him. So I told him yeah, and I didn't even know what it was at first. I didn't even know if this guy could have been like a human trafficker or he could have been anybody, but something told me to just kind of see where it goes. So I shook his hand, we exchanged information. Later that night we called each other after I got off work. And he went over the full business plan in detail with me, which is something that we don't do. We normally never inform before we connect, but again, I think there's just something that we both kind of clicked on that just kind of allowed us both to, you know, be comfortable sharing different pieces of information. And I think later that next night he invited me out to an informational class where I got to meet the rest of the team and I got to see the plan actually in fuller detail. So we just went on from there, and I got through the vetting process. I met his mentors. I got to meet some really successful people in the company. Like some of the people that I met in this business are really just like, it's like, wow. If I were still like, I look at somebody like, it doesn't matter if they were dressed. What matters to me is how they're presenting themselves and how they're expressing information and how they're expressing the different things that are on their mind, and that allows me to hold them to a higher standard. So I think, man, if I was in the mindset, if I was in the headspace that I was a couple of years ago, there's no way that person would have given me their time or, you know, taken time out of their day or invested their hard-earned money into me to kind of like tell me what they know and different things to look out for and just kind of give me knowledge, you know.
Man. I couldn't agree with you more, man. I couldn't even agree with you more.
And, you know, knowledge is really such a powerful tool. Like I noticed, like I've been putting myself in situations like learning. Learning is like, it makes you better. it makes you respond to things better. It makes you smarter. It makes people want to talk to you more. It makes conversations with you a lot more interesting, as opposed to, hey, what did you do today? Just got something to eat.
So a theme that I've been seeing lately though is like what we sitting here talking about. I feel like people feel like it's just totally not everybody obviously, but it's like some sort of group of people that just think like that's not realistic, and it's just like this is another story. Like it's realistic. You just gotta make good habits and keep building on habits. And I just feel like people don't understand, like when you choose to make certain habits good or bad, you program yourself to keep doing those habits too much to the point where you're not even training yourself to make the bad or good habit. It's just doing it on its own by then, So if you just start a good, productive habit and just keep building on it and just don't worry about the results.
Don't worry about the intangibles. Keep
don't
going.
Worry. Just keep making.
David, you are
keep making
right
a habit,
man.
man.
Like once you start to build momentum, when you get Big Mo on your side, just keep going. Like stop taking time out of your day to see what people are saying about you on the internet. Stop taking time. Stop looking at the things that are wrong with your coach. Stop looking at the things that are wrong with your teammates. Like stop focusing on the intangibles. Like keep going. Like as soon as you still recognize what's going on look at things from the outside in. Don't just have tunnel vision, but like still be paying attention, but still keep going. Don't get discouraged. Like if you're on the road to success and you feel your compass is telling you that you're moving the needle in the right direction, why would you stop? Why would you if you're starting to notice results and you're keeping yourself in places where the money is, why would you stop? Why would you stop and listen to your broke next door neighbor? Or why would you allow your friend that hasn't had a job in 3 years to say, I don't think that's gonna work, bro? Why would you even listen to your friend? If you have a friend that's a couch potato, right there. If you have friends that are couch potatoes, you need to change your association right there. Otherwise, you're gonna fall into the same pattern. But why would you listen to your friend that's smoking a blunt on his couch with a bowl of chips and is still waiting for jobs to call him back for an interview? Why would you listen to what he or she has to say about you putting yourself out there to touch people's lives and make something greater than yourself?
Well, I mean, if you can smoke and do all that, then more power to you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but don't, exactly what he said. to the T, though. Like,
to the T.
To the T, bro. Like, if he doing all that and the couch potato, just stop. Like, we don't even got nothing to talk about. We just don't. Like, I don't be offended, but it's the truth, man.
That's true, and I only say that from experience. I'm not even trying to put anybody down. I've had moments where I just wanted to.
I'm not being rude. You can keep talking about. I know we was talking about something, and we said we was gonna save it for. No, we were talking about something on Facebook, and you said we were gonna save it for the podcast.
You're looking it up.
So I'm looking to see what it was. Yeah. But you can go ahead because I'm listening.
I've had that experience before. I'd say that out of experience. I've had times where I just kind of want to sit on the couch and maybe smoke, and then just like maybe I used to be a really heavy drinker, which I'm really not a drinker anymore because like I didn't like the way my brain processed thoughts on alcohol. Sometimes it's like I don't when I drink, it's like I don't think about things before I say things. Like it's bad for business and it's not good for your image.
No, yeah, I don't even like to drink for a lot of reasons, but I will drink, but I don't like to drink like I'll probably I don't even drink that much. That's what I'm getting at. Like I'll probably have a drink every 3 months or so. Like I don't. She Ebony, she likes to have like wine every now and again. Like we don't got none now, but like now and again. But other than that, like I might get a sip of wine, but I'm not a drinker. So but I get what you're saying because I did used to drink. And he's been a witness to that.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, so, and that's just not where I want to be at. Like, I just can't, like you said, I can't think on it. Like, my brain is just like, to me, I was doing dumb things that were fun. And it's just like, that's not fun. And the alcohol wasn't the problem. It was me just getting out of line, and the alcohol didn't obviously help.
Didn't help nothing. It's like
yeah,
when you take into consideration all the stupid things you've done in your life, and then you find you name 10 things, but 6 of them were done as while you were under the influence of alcohol,
right,
or while alcohol played a factor in the equation. So you're just like, let me X that out.
Bro, just being young and careless. Like, seriously.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 27.
27.
27? Yeah, I think I'm
How old are you?
I don't even know. Because it's just like, I don't even care.
Let me see your ID, bro. No.
4/20/92. So,
okay.
I think 27. So, but like whenever I'm saying, like when I was like 18 and like 17 and 19. So, whenever I was that age, it was just like, and then it just started to tone down, you know.
You know, with that being said, too, shout out to the early 2010s. You know, I can recall like some really epic events happening in, late nights on 2010, 2011, 2012. just by what we're talking about right now. You know, it's not obviously we're here and we're alive to tell this story. So it's not like it was all bad. You know, we might have made.
Oh no, yeah, no, it was good, and I didn't do nothing like, too outlandish, but it was just like I would do dumb things. I would just do dumb things, and I don't want to say anything.
For the sake of doing dumb things.
Yeah. But I mean, you gotta live and learn. You gotta do them. So I don't say don't do them, but just be smart. If you know, I was just always being self-aware. You know what I mean? So I've always been able to read not the people necessarily, but a situation fully in an environment and be able to I may not know the intent of some of these people or know completely what's going on, but I know enough and I'm cool,
Yeah, like I don't think I want to be involved in that, or that sounds like something I'd want to. Let me get some information on that.
Yeah. So, but I did find out what we were talking about. So, how do you guys how are you different from World Ventures? I think that's what they're called.
Well, again, I won't say any names because I'm not authorized to do so. But the way that we different from companies like Mary Kay and World Ventures and even Herbalife is that we are not paid to recruit. We are, and I'm not saying this is not to say that any of these companies are scams or pyramid schemes or any of that, but we don't recruit people to recruit. Like we actually have a product that we're selling, and also we have different companies that we're partnered with and that we're able to do business with just because we have large networks of people that buy certain things. So really it's not like I can again, we don't recruit, but if I sponsor somebody in business, it's not like I can just chill while they're doing all this work and then my the numbers in my bank account will go up. If I sponsor somebody in business and they're doing more work than me, they can significantly out earn me, or I'd be okay with that, because the reason I sponsor people in business anyway, the reason I coach people to do the things that they do is because I want to see them do better things than what they're doing right now, and I want them to be the best versions of themselves possible. So why wouldn't I sponsor somebody so they can make more money than me? If anything, I actually want to see somebody make more money than me because that shows me that I'm doing something right. But it's not like if I don't do the work, let's say I sponsor you in business, but I decide I just want to chill. I want to go back to my job and just I just want to focus on my job.
Wait for the other 3 or 4 underlings you got to go work.
No, but you're actually putting in the work.
Right.
Putting in the work to grow your business. You will significantly out earn me. You would out earn me without question. So if I want to, the only way that I can actually get somebody in business and actually coach them to success is if I'm applying the same principles that I'm talking with them about, and if I'm being in a position where I want to see them succeed, and I want to see them grow, and also if I'm learning from my own mentors, because I can listen to audio books, I can read all the books that I want, but if I don't have a place to affirm and apply that knowledge, it's in vain, and I won't have anything to teach the person that I'm trying to coach and help be successful, if that makes sense.
I no, it makes total sense, but I've always with those jobs. Okay, so I'm gonna just break down my experience because I don't know fully on a day-to-day what you guys do and how you start up. So I'm gonna just present it from my 2 times experience in World Ventures, and I'll be brief about it. The first time I got introduced, I was maybe 18, I think, or 19, and I was just no, I can't. And this will be by the same person, and it was a relaxed environment and stuff, and they explained it to me, and I was just whenever I was 18, it's just something I was just like not interested in at all. Like the interest for me wasn't there. Well, just recently, that same person didn't realize they had introduced this to me before and took me to an actual like meeting and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, well, I remember this and I know how this pretty much works. But I was just like, where I'm at now is I don't know if I could like I could commit my time, but financially I can't commit to that because then it would be, to me, it's at a loss because I already have a job and what the person was saying. So the guy that was conducting it, he was saying that at the meeting, if you don't commit now and pay this certain amount of money and then pay another amount of money to go on this meeting, then I'm not even going to do it and you're wasting my time. And that's whenever I just turned off because I was like, listen, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, you can call. And then the guy that took me and him discussed it, but he kind of was just like, well, it's fine, you're just not interested. I was like, well, it's not that I'm not interested, it's just like you haven't given me enough. Like, I'm in a different spot. I am interested, but I'm not a sucker either at us. And like, you can be upset because I said that, but it's just like, I'm just calling it what it is. Y'all was real with me when you said if I don't give you a certain amount of money and a certain amount of commitment now, then it's whatever. Y'all could be that real with me, but if I'm real with you by saying I'm not a sucker, I just need more information, and you got to be able to put me in a predicament to where I can be successful, not just like, well, now you're set up, here's some information, and now go off and no, like I don't want to do that. I'm doing that right now with my own business. Why would I start up another one to do that for somebody else where they're benefiting off of me and other people collecting people?
This is right. This is true.
So,
and for you coaches out there, and take notes. Because this is one of the reasons why, to get a spot on our team, to work with my mentors and work with myself and a bunch of people on my team, we have to bring them through it's almost like a 10-step process. Like the vetting process that we have to get people onto our team is like it takes about a month or two. It's gonna take a minute. You're gonna have to put in some work because, like what you just said, you're at a meeting, you're just seeing the plan for the first time, and they're already asking you to dish out all this money. They're basically making it seem like they just want your money. Like on our team, we want people to know, hey, this is completely on you. Your growth and your progress is on you. You've seen the information, but there's no obligation yet.
Yeah, they said that too, and I get that, but my thing is just like, it's two things. One is the demand and how it was ordered of my lack or whatever commitment, and then money right off the gate, like right off. And then if I didn't, you dismissed me. And two, and this is the big one, because money can be replenished. My time, however, cannot, and that to me is the most valuable. No matter what I'm doing, to me, I know at the end of the day, my family and all that sort of stuff is important. But to me, like professionally and what I have in life that I can say is mine is my time. And to me, that is the most like you see all these pots in here. The time is more precious, my guy. You can mess it. I can go get another one. I can get more money. My time, however, is like you gotta help me out here to where it's just like so at my job, I don't got any job I go to, I don't have to get 10 days of training with you and your group, and then y'all just throw me out of the van and like, okay, now it's all up to you. And now remember, whatever you make of it, like, well, okay, that's very vague. So you just want me to be a door-to-door salesman is what you're saying, and I'm not doing that. That's what I'm getting at. You see what I'm saying? Like, we gonna have to be a team and hold meetings like this, and we gotta help me think of creative ways. Because I was telling Evan, like, I'm all for being complaining and speaking how you feel. If it's just saying how you feel and there's nothing added to it, but please have something valuable that we can, make something of, and don't just be the person coming to the table just trying to, I'm sorry, but bitch and moan about stuff and not really accomplish anything. Yeah. Say how you feel, but be productive with your words,
and also be ready to identify needs and capitalize on those needs.
Yes,
so be ready to help your customers. And the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand, this is where salesmen fail. I have done door-to-door sales before. I hate it. Don't do it. The culture of no, never. Don't do it. I don't care if it's soap. I don't care if it's gas.
Bruh.
I don't care if it's electric. I don't care if it's home care system.
The Kirby vacuums.
Fuck that. No, what I'm saying is, excuse my language. Sorry.
No, you good, man. This is a free.
But no, forget
do
that.
what you want to do.
But no, what I'm saying is, a lot of salesmen fail to identify needs, and they do this because they're only focused on making the dollar. You know, when you're listening to a customer talk, like if I'm okay, so say I got a customer that is getting ready to buy a nutritional supplement off of me. Shout out to Zach Kane He just bought a protein solution from me earlier today. So shout out Zach. But say like when I'm on the phone with the customer and I know that they're gonna buy something, or I know that I'm gonna try to maybe ask them if they're on the market to try new products, or I listen to them while they talk. I'll be on the phone with the customer for about 45 minutes to an hour, and I only talk about products in the last maybe 5 or 10 minutes of the conversation, because I'm using the rest of the rest of the time that I'm on the phone with the customer to identify needs and get to know them as a person. So maybe when the time comes, I can offer recommendations, but most of all, I want the customer to know that I'm there to help. Regardless of if I make a profit or not, you could hang up the phone and say, we could talk for 45 minutes, and you could say, I don't really think money's a little bit limited for me right now. And guess what? That's perfectly fine, because not only is this, it is somewhat practice in a way, when you're talking with people, but also like people know that Shamarr Jones has a business. Shamarr Jones is there to identify needs. Okay, and he actually is here to help. He doesn't want just the money that's in my pocket. It's a huge difference from when I first got into business and I was making sales. I was making decent sales when I was first getting into business, but when I switched my attitude to more helping instead of gaining, I was making more money. Back to the door-to-door sales crap though. Door-to-door sales was incredibly easy for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like when the last company I did door-to-door sales, I made about 1,000 contacts. And I was able to make a profit off of at least 200 of them. Not only did I have but I learned later that I had the highest turnover rate. So that's something to work on, obviously. But I noticed like the process was getting a little bit easier. Sorry if I'm getting off the point.
Bro, go ahead.
Do you ever need to remind me to get back on?
Go ahead, man.
I'm just saying, like, if I remember,
we listening. We all listening.
I'm just kind of thinking out loud for a second.
Go
but
ahead.
Like what I'm saying, like I noticed, like when I knocked on the customer's door. Again, don't do door-to-door sales. If I knocked on the customer's door and I say, "Hey, how are you?" I knew their first instinct was to tell me to, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. You're a salesman. I don't want to talk to you. You're a scammer, which is understandable because you're on their property. But as I noticed, like I would pitch, and then I would probably start talking to them about I'd probably take into account the foliage outside, or the way their house was looking, or maybe if there was like a crack in the roof.
So you start to be more crafty with
not crafty,
skillful.
No, well, I guess in a sense, yeah. But I wanted to relate more to the customer. I wanted the customer to know that I notice things that are going on in their lives. If I see a dog running around in their living room while I'm talking to them, and I'm waiting for them to get their information.
So the skeptics will ask.
Skeptics.
Okay, the skeptical people out there, they'll ask. Okay, so let me I gotta preface you by saying I haven't addressed anybody, because you actually, I was doing a lot of interviews, and I have taken a break for like branching out, doing other things, and because I wanted to interview in a different way than what I was doing before, because I realized that sitting behind these mics is like very meaningful, and is to think about what you say, but also to, whenever you are saying something, I don't go out of my way to be offensive, but I go out of my way to be on both sides of the coin, So the skeptical people will ask, now, did you ask about things and notice those things out of their life and ask them because you had to and you knew it would help, like the sales, or because you genuinely wanted to, because that one that would help like brighten their day a little bit, and you just people just need to know that they noticed stuff, like so that's what I'm getting at, intent a little bit.
Yeah, and truthfully speaking, when I first got introduced to the process, it was because I knew that it would it would get me closer to a sale. But as I started to see how much of a better person and like a better speaker and also a better individual it was making me, I noticed that I started asking those questions not out of obligation, but because I actually genuinely cared after a while.
You started to get caught up.
When I saw like how just genuinely like inserting yourself in somebody's life for a brief couple of minutes and just seeing like I've even made sales to people that they were having a horrible day, like they're getting crap from customers at work, their boss is treating them like crap, and then they come home and then their wife or husband or their kids are getting on their nerves. I knock on their door. They answer the door like, "What do you want?"
Mm-hmm.
Or if I make a contact with them, because obviously I'm not doing door-to-door sales anymore. I notice like sometimes just letting them know that I'm genuinely here for them. Like, hey, how you doing? Oh, really, dude, that sucks. I've actually gone through that at work before too, man. My boss is, oh, really, you too, man. My boss was a jerk, man. I can't believe I used to work at that place. Just relating to them, connecting with them. Like it makes you like. It just makes you better. It improves your outlook. It improves your frequency. Like it just makes people gravitate towards you a little bit more because they see that you care. And actually, I'm thinking so fast. I just forgot what I was getting ready to say.
You good, bro? Don't worry.
A lot of caffeine.
Oh, you good? Well, before I get you out here, what all projects you got going on that are gonna be coming out? Just go ahead and put them all out there, and then I'll be putting them up on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube as well. So
appreciate that.
Yeah.
But, the album Juice is it's complete. I'm actually just waiting for the stores to process all the songs and make sure I have a right to use all the samples and all the melodies, and make sure that I'm not stepping on anybody else's toes. But I think you guys are really gonna like what my team and I have on the album. Shout out to Midnight Swami again. Shout out to Buddy Merlot, and shout out to Zach Kane. Shout out to K9 the producer. K9 the producer and his label right now are doing some very good things. Check them out on YouTube, and check K9 the producer out on Instagram. Check out Jaquel Leslie. He's doing some really good things. Dom24L. There's some really like, it makes me excited because like there's some real talent out here in Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne's not. And especially like when you see like not a lot of culture being thrown around here in Fort Wayne, it just makes it all worthwhile. It makes you even more happy to see it.
Right. So he sent me some tracks, and they sound really damn good. So I'm not gonna show anybody. Don't worry.
I mean, you show whoever.
I mean, I can show them now. Like I can put them out there now.
I really don't care. I mean, because just as long as you
I want to wait. I'm gonna wait.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. And then when you put the album out and stuff like the way you want to, then I'll put it out. I'm gonna put out the intro though, or the music that you sent me in the separate email that you guys are gonna be hearing. Probably hearing now because I'll put it up before we close up. But I'll put that one out, and then I'll wait on the other ones because I want to be able to let you.
It's probably best if we take that approach anyway, just so.
Yeah, I'd rather wait. I just rather it just sounds better if I wait.
Legal reasons and but also we got I myself have a Ghost EP coming out too. Probably drop that in springtime of 2020. Just want to get some more knowledge in the studio as far as production and sound engineering. That way, so I can kind of make things happen on my own, and also make some more samples and get some new beats going on, and maybe try to I want to be an ambassador for how hip hop fans see rap in 2020, because it's like there was hip hop was viewed a certain way in the 90s. Okay, hip hop had its vibe in the 2000s, and even it's had its vibe in the 2010s as well. And obviously we're getting ready to wrap up the decade, but that has been based on solely the performers, like who is controlling, what artists are controlling the way fans see this genre.
I think it's a weird war going on too between the people that actually rap like you and the people that just like making these weird like mumble raps and stuff. Like I think it's a weird, like, I don't know.
The dynamic,
it's a weird paradigm right now.
But the thing is,
whoa.
I enjoy mumble rap. I enjoy lyrical rap. I enjoy freestyle hip hop. It's just because to me, like, it's all part of the genre. And what you guys are gonna see on the Juice album is I have my own tracks where I mumble, and but the majority of it's bars. I'm not gonna lie. I like people to understand what I'm saying, but there is a couple of tracks where I kind of dribble and dabble into.
My problem is I think people twist got it all wrong at some point in time, and it's just like the mumble rap created because they want to say like people like Twista and Busta Rhymes and people like that rapped really fast, and you could barely understand some of the stuff that they said, but you could, yeah, but you could still understand it for the most part. And I don't talk crap about mumble rap. I don't necessarily listen to it too much, but I don't necessarily listen to any mainstream music. I like to listen to people I know music. So, because I'm more. I've been off, like that weird hype train that people are on. Like the only time music is good is if you can hear it on the radio type of thing, or if they got music videos and a whole machine behind them. Like, yeah, I'm not saying those music songs ain't good, but it's still a lot of people out here. Obviously, somebody in front of me that's still making just as great music as anything you'll see, so
this is true. And to add to that, that's kind of the reason why underground hip hop really doesn't exist anymore, because the tools and the resources are there for anybody to get their music out there,
which is great.
There's a reason we're sitting before each other today. That's because we both found resources that we can use to get our platforms out there. So really, like, if you have somebody that's like stuck in the underground, that's really because they've only chosen to remain listened to by 30, 40, 50 to 150 people. But the tools are there for you to either go mainstream, for you to develop a steady fan base. But really to say that somebody's underground here in 2019, you notice like more underground rappers are making actual money than some of these big time rappers who are signed to these really important labels. And that's really because a lot of underground rappers own their own content. The resources are there for you to own your own content. You don't have, if you want to sign to a label that's for the exposure, you definitely can, but just know you're probably going to make less money. So like if you're fortunate enough to come across a label that is not just out there to see how much money they can fish from your portfolio, you kind of need to you need to cherish that a little bit. Get to know the group dynamics a little bit, and keep on and get to know everybody on your team, and then just make sure you read your contracts too. Read your contracts. Like so many artists have ended up getting swindled and screwed out of so much money because they're just thinking about, all I gotta do is sign here. I'll have 1 million followers on Instagram. All the weed that I can smoke in my whole life. All these people will know that I'm famous. I'll be on TV. But then they realize none of their money belongs to them because they did not read their contracts. They didn't get it notarized. They didn't have somebody with them to to walk them through the contract, or they asked the label executive who may or may not have been crooked to go over the details of the contract with them, and that person ended up giving them false details. You have to know what you're doing out here. If you're going into this game thinking that it's just you rap, you make songs, and that's it, I'll have $1 million in my bank account, you might as well just go back to work. This industry, the rap industry, and business in general, Hollywood, it doesn't matter where, as long as there's profits being made, there are people there are people that will step on you like the cockroach that you are if you allow them to. So don't go around trusting the first person that you meet. Like don't think that you know it all. Then don't think that just because you can spit fast or that you got bars that people are just automatically gonna put you up on a pedestal. Like you still gotta be putting in the work. You still gotta be making sure you're getting smarter every day. You gotta be reading your books. You gotta be listening to people that have done this before. Like probably when I leave out of here, I'm probably gonna put on maybe a TED Talks. I might even put on a Breakfast Club interview with one of my favorite artists, just so I can familiarize myself with what's going on.
Makes sense to me, man. That's what I do. I don't blame you for doing it. It's so many things out here we could use and learn and grow from. I just really feel like people. I wish people would soak that in instead of just thinking that they need to wait for something or it won't happen unless they sign up for this or that program, or if they have this or that support group. I just feel like at some point in time you gotta put that onus on yourself and just say you want to make it happen.
Personal responsibility.
And it's a powerful thing. And it's just like it's not. I'm so big on it because I had to do it myself. Mm-hmm. I didn't used to be this way. Like, and it showed. Like it showed in so many ways. Didn't have anything. Wasn't worth nothing. Didn't make any kind of sense. Was just to me. Because I call myself names not to beat down on myself, and I'm not afraid of shame or anything. I don't think there's ways of of shaming yourself without beating yourself down, you know. And to me, I've grown. My life has been a lot of things, you know. So I'm used to having tough talk. So whenever I call myself tough names, it's just out of good laughter. But it's like, get yourself together, bro. Like, clean your room. Jordan Peterson said, "Clean your room, bro."
And David Cutcliffe said, "Make your bed. Make your bed. The first thing you do when yeah.
And it's nothing personal, but it's just like, if you don't make your bed and that go for whatever it is, like, you gonna later in life you gonna get real raw. Just like I was a dumbass.
You gonna get super comfortable in areas that you know you should be uncomfortable in. You know, I even got
man.
There are so many I can't even tell you how many times like I gotta look in the mirror in the morning or at night and tell myself to stop acting like a little bitch. Like I gotta like to tell myself, dude, why are you letting fear get you? You already know what you're here to do. Why are you acting this way? Why are you doing?
And
this?
It's tough, and it take a toll, but you still just gotta ride. Like I think that we're saying that we gotta acknowledge like the real emotion of it. But it's just like, even if you acknowledge it, that doesn't mean that you need to let it claim you and consume you. And you acknowledge it so you can overcome it. You don't acknowledge it so you can just, hide and shrink from it.
And don't let that define your future too. Yeah. Like don't let not letting somebody from your past that saw you do something stupid. Don't let a hater use an event that happened in your past to invalidate your current mindset and determine where you will go 5 years from now. The people that and let me tell you something. The people that you went to high school with are notorious for that. I can't even tell you how many times like somebody's hit me up on Snapchat, somebody has hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and there's somebody that I grew up with, went to middle school with or high school with, and then they remind me of something stupid or negative that happened in high school, and it's like, yeah, I remember, but why are you bringing it up? You see, I'm obviously, you see, I've moved on. You should have moved on too,
but I mean, that's just people, man. That's what I tell you. Like, it's things like that we don't take into account, and then it just show up, and then we just got like, it's just something that we feel like we got to deal with. You don't even pay attention to it. You know why? Because it's going to be a lot more people than that. Whenever you get more noticeable, it's going to be even more people. So you can't worry about it now, because you dang sure don't need to worry about it later on. It'd just be a detriment to yourself to just worry about every little, because like we all get it. So it's just like, I don't want people like you to even have to worry about that, man. Just keep doing your thing, bro. Like, real talk. And I'm gonna end it here, but yeah, man, bro.
Yeah, man.
I can't say nothing to you. You on the same wavelength, so I appreciate it.
Dude,
appreciate another sound mind.
Dude, there is nothing that you can say to me that I won't listen to,
man. So I appreciate you coming through. I can't wait to hear more music and get you all out. Maybe y'all two connect in some way and do something, because he do like, they got a whole thing going on. So him and another buddy.
Follow me on Instagram for more music updates at Nutramar18 at Nutramar_18, and I will keep you guys updated from there.
All right, y'all, take it easy. Appreciate it.